Man, what's up, YouTube? It's your boy Tyrone Hunter, back with another edition of What's Really Good Entertainment. Smash that like button on the way in the door. Hit that. Smash the like button on the way in the door. You know my motto, I'm not going to hold you. You see the title. We're going to get right into it. How do you put the street life behind you for good? And is it even possible to put the street life behind you? That's what we're going to be talking about today. That's what we're going to be discussing. So if you know anybody that's in the streets and trying to put the street life behind them, you're trying to understand how they put the street life behind them, you're trying to understand if it's even possible, or if you got your folks in the streets and you see them thugging and bugging and you trying to figure out why they still in the streets, man, this is the video that you definitely want to check out. And you definitely want to share this, man. Tune in. Tapping with your boy. So this one is a exclusive true story. Shout out to all my people that's rocking with me. I appreciate you. If you're new to the channel, like, comment, share, subscribe, share the video, because the more y'all share the video, you know, it helps with the algorithm and it puts the video in front of a broader audience so we can get the message out there to different people. I'm pretty sure it's a lot of people want to know, how do you put the street life behind you and if it's even possible? So, man, let's get into it. Let's talk about it, right? And you know, like I said, this is an exclusive true story of me, your boy, yours truly. And so this story right here, we gonna take this back to 2009. So 2009, I was just released from prison from doing almost 15 years. Did 14 years, 8 months, and 20-some days to be exact. So coming home after doing all of this time, I'm talking about I was in jail my last couple of years. I was working in a program called the pre-release unit. What the pre-release unit is I was like the coordinator for people who needed to take anger management, needed to take the drug program, which is ART, to satisfy their requirements to be released. I help people do their pre-release. I help do the pre-release reports, meaning, I help dudes find shelter, help all of the paperwork that they needed to have together. If they go into the parole board, like, that's what transitional services was. It's pretty much helping people that's in prison prepare for their release. So anything that got to do with that, that's what I was doing. And I was, like one of the head honchos in that program. Cool. I was also doing a couple of other things in there, but I'll leave that for another video. So, make a long story short, I got released after doing 15 years. I got locked up when I was like 17, came home when I was 32. So I got locked up a baby. Had some, some little bit of life experiences, but not much, because you figure I'm 17 years old. All I knew was the streets at that time. When I came home, every other word out my mouth was, you know what I'm saying, you heard, you feel what I'm saying, New York slang out. And that's pretty much what it was. So even though I had spent that time educating myself, I could speak articulately, but my go-to in terms of, speaking was, you know what I'm saying, you heard, you feel what I'm saying? And you'll hear that from a lot of dudes nowadays too, especially individuals that been to prison, that did a lot of time in prison. They got locked up at a young age. You'll hear some of them still sound like they a teenager. They a little kid. Well, not a little kid, no disrespect, but they'll sound like they'll come across as if they're immature based on the way that they express and articulate themselves. because a lot of them will say, you know what I'm saying? You feel me? You get where I'm coming from? You know what I'm saying? So you'll hear that, right? I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That's just a thing. And they say that happened as a result of whatever age you were when you went to prison. When you come out of prison, you kind of still have that mentality. I would think that to be true, but nevertheless. So I was released in January of 2009. Hit the streets. You know, the bus, I got off the bus at 42nd Street in Manhattan, which is Times Square, for anybody that know. And then I had to jump on the train and take the train to Brooklyn. Get down to Brooklyn, meet my brother, holler at him for a few. Again, had no coins for me. He was in the streets hustling, doing what he was doing. And they ain't had no coins for me, ain't had no breads for me. My family had a little get together. So, you know, I wound up going to the family get together because I got released on a Friday. Go to the family get together. Everybody happy to see me. Everybody talking about how much they miss me, even though none of these motherfuckers was writing me or checking for me when I was locked up. And now all of a sudden it's like, you got all this love for me, you miss me, and you've been thinking about me, and all of this old other sucker duck ass. But that's how it be. You know, it's like out of sight, out of mind. When you in prison, ain't people, they probably think about you, but you know, for the most part, it's like you just doing your time, and those that's there for you, they there for you, and those that's not, they not. But when you come home and you see people face to face, everybody act like they missed you. Everybody act like, you know, they got all the love in the world for you. And, you know, that's just part of the game. So none of them ain't had nothing for me. Yo, everybody, oh, Christmas just passed. You know, just paid all these bills. We waiting for income tax and all. And I'm like, so that was my first reality check. Like, man, it's real in the field. Because in prison, I'm educating myself. I got this game plan. Like all of this stuff that I want to do, I had it all mapped out in my head, A to Z. I got articulated. If anybody asked me, was I gonna come home and was I gonna be successful, I would have told them, hell to the yeah. I'm not going back to jail. I'm on a straight and narrow. You know, I got these goals, I got these plans, life is easy, and that's what I was thinking in my head. But the reality of the matter is that when you go to prison, just because you go to prison and you do time, that don't mean that while you was in there, your family hit the lotto or everybody got rich or everybody well off. You got to remember, like, you was in the streets and you was running around the streets, you was trying to get money and you was trying to advance yourself and get ahead because your family situation wasn't the greatest or your family really didn't have money. So I found it to be an unrealistic expectation, you know, to feel that my family or that people that I knew when I came home, that I was going to come home to, you know, all of this love and, you know, to people making sure I'm straight. That wasn't the case, and that's not the case for the great majority of people that get locked up. And as a result of that, we start to feel away. We feel like, oh, you ain't care about me when I was locked up. Now I'm out here, you ain't got nothing for me. So you throw the middle fingers up. And, you know, you got to figure it out. So that's what I was faced with, not even 5 hours after I was released, because I remember, no, it was more than 5 hours after I released. But I remember I got to 42nd Street in New York City at about 5:30 p.m. So I got to my family house like about 8:30, 9 o'clock that night. This was the reception. Like I said, my brother, he was in the streets. My mother's and father's son, he was in the streets. He was getting money. He was doing this thing. Ain't had nothing for me. My family, nobody had nothing for me. So here it is. I'm out here on a Friday After doing 15 years in jail, I only got the couple of dollars that I had in my inmate account, when I was released. Probably had a couple of $100. And the clothes on my back. This is how real it was. Brother ain't had nothing for me. My family ain't had nothing for me. Shit is real. So now everybody trying to celebrate and everybody want to take pictures and, ask me how I been and all of this. And I'm, throwing on a fake smiles or what have you. But in my mind, I'm like, yo, what am I going to do? My brother, he had a phone for me. So I had a phone. I was supposed to be getting parole to my mother's house. So, I'm calling my mother to see, cause at the time she had lived in Queens. So I'm calling her to see, where she at and how can I get to her house? And I'm just thinking okay, well, man, let me just lay down for right now. It's Friday, tomorrow is Saturday, tomorrow is another day, I'm gonna be able to figure it out. At this point, I'm not thinking about no female. I'm not thinking about no getting drunk, getting high. I'm not thinking about celebrating being home because there's no celebration. It's like I just came out here to the reality that shit is real. And I got to figure this out. How am I going to figure it out? I don't know. I didn't have nobody in the street that, made sure that they had anything for me. I didn't have anything situated and established when I came to the street. So it was like all on me. Everything was on my back. Again, after doing 15 years. So, my brother, he dropped me at my folks' crib, but then he left. He had to, go take care of some things. So I'm ready to leave. My family house because I'm like, man, this is not working. Like, I can't even sit here in front like I'm happy to be home or I'm happy to be around people that really wasn't there for me when I was locked up. Don't get me wrong. A few of them came through here and there, but what I was expecting from my family, it just wasn't that. Like they fell short. So I called my brother and I'm like, man, where you at? He like, yo, I'm by the crib. He was like, but I'm about to make a move. He said, I just came down here. I just came down here to get next to a couple of people. And he said he was about to jump on the highway and he was about to head out to go to his other house because he was living upstate New York at the time. He was, so I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, man, listen, this the situation, bro. I'm like, my pockets is hurting. All I got is this little couple of dollars, that I came home with. I ain't got no clothes out here. I've been going for 15 years, so I don't even own a pair of socks out here. I didn't even, and it's so real. That's what I'm saying. It's so real that I didn't even have another pair of boxer socks and t-shirts. I ain't had no soap to wash my behind, no lotion to put on my body. I ain't have a coat. All I had was what was on my body, what I had when I came home. I had a little, nice outfit, some Timbs, some jeans, nice little sweater, vest, nice little warm hat. I was looking decent. So my brother was like, man, look, come to the crib and, we gonna figure it out. So I leave for my grandmother's house. I go link up with my brother. He take me to, around my people's way. My people's from the street. He take me around their way, so I could get next to a couple of people. Like, man, listen, we just got to bump into a couple of people, got to let them know you home and, see what it is. See if they got something for you. If they got something for you, they do. If they ain't got nothing for you, then it is what it is. But, that's all we could do right now. So I'm like, all right, cool. So we go to the projects, go pull up on a couple of people. So one of my boys, he pull up in a BMW. He pull up in the X5 BMW truck. He's shining like a diamond. I already done heard, word in the streets that, his weight was up crazy. He doing his numbers. But again, we ain't hustling the street. We ain't really, do nothing in the streets together. We just knew each other, like growing up from playing basketball and stuff like that. So we was on some, you know, if I see you, you know, we cool, we good, you know, so forth and so on. But he wasn't obligated to have nothing for me. But because he was somebody that I knew, and, you know, he was doing his numbers, we pulled up on him. He hit me with the sob story. Yo, you know, I just came from gripping, you know what I'm saying? I had to get some work, you know. When I flipped some work, you know, I hit you, and, you know, we go from there. Maybe in a couple of days, I got a couple of dollars for you. And I'm like, boy, I'm fresh out from doing a whole stretch. Like, I can't wait a couple of days. He's like, yo, I'm saying, bro, like, you know, that's the best I could do for you. He's like, I could give you some work. I'm like, oh, man, mind you, not 24 hours out the pen. I can't get my hands on no money, but I could get my hands on some work. So I had to take what was offered. You feel what I'm saying? I had no choice. I had to take what was offered. It was what it was. Hollered at a couple of other people that I knew. They ain't had nothing for me. You know, it was a bunch of dreams being sold. So now here it is. I got the work that my boy just gave me. My brother about to jump on the highway and go upstate New York. So I'm telling him, I'm like, yo, let me ride. I said, I'm gonna ride with you. I'm gonna just chill with you for the weekend. He was like, hey, I don't think you want to chill with me for the weekend. He was like, I get money up there. You know what I'm saying? And I only came down here to get next to my peoples, you know, so I could, you know, get right. And I'm going back up there. I got people waiting for me, you know, so I could, you feel what I'm saying? Drop off these groceries and pick up this money. If you know, you know. So I'm like, yeah. So he like, yo, bro, like, man, you just came home after doing all this time. He was like, man, I'm knee deep in the streets. You know, he was like, you know, I'm in the car right now. He's like, I'm already on the highway, and if you get pulled over with me, he was like, nigga, you going right back to jail, and you think you did 15 years, you about to do more time than that. So that let me know that whatever he had on him, had with him, you know, that he already knew, like, he was chasing a felony. So I'm like, damn, I can't do that. I can't get in the car with him. So I'm in the P's. I'm in the projects. You know, stopped at one of my homegirls' crib. I'm in there. You know, then other people coming through, and everybody like, yo, what's good, yo? I heard you was coming home. Da-da-da. You know, they all smoking and drinking, and, you know, it's a couple of females in there that, you know, but it's like my mind is, I'm talking about, my mind is gone right now. I'm blown because I just finished doing all of this time. Ain't nothing going the way that I suspected. Ain't nothing going smooth. It's Friday night, almost 10 o'clock at night. My brother, he done jumped on the highway and left. I done left my family crib. I can't get in contact with my mother, who, you know, I supposed to be paroled to her house. I got my parole stipulations. They saying that I got a 9 o'clock curfew, but because I came home on a Friday, I'm supposed to report to parole supervision on Monday. So because I didn't report yet, it's like, man, I got to get out of jail free card. I could stay out as long as I want. I could do whatever it is that I want, long as I don't get locked up or go to jail. I ain't got to worry about no parole officer running down on me. So I'm in the projects. I can't get in contact with my moms. You know, I'm around all these people, like some familiar faces, a lot of other unfamiliar faces. And, you know, when you in jail, you used to being around dudes all the time, and you always on a state of alert because it could go down anytime. So every time somebody move, I'm like, you feel what I'm saying? And people looking at me laughing like, yo, what's good with you? And I was like, ain't nothing, I'm good. You know, like I'm trying to play it off like everything good. But at the end of the day, you know, it's like culture shock. It's like you got PTSD. You just coming from war, and everybody around you is a potential enemy, or you gotta watch them so that nothing happened to you. It's a very real thing. So, man, this is what was going on. So I'm like, man, I'm not about to stay in here, you know, because this is one of my people's crib, and he hustling right out the crib. Crackheads, you know, fiends is coming to the crib. They coming to get work. Then he got other people coming to the crib to buy weed. You know, people is in and out of the apartment, you know, and I wasn't feeling comfortable. Because I'm like, I don't need to be around all of this activity. In my mind, it's like, police come up in here, I'm going back to jail. So it's like, this is all of this stuff that I'm thinking. This is all of this stuff that's going through my mind, like not even 24 hours after being out of prison from doing all of this time. The only thing I have sitting in front of me, the only thing that could possibly, you know, help me out at this point in time is I got to get down and dirty, go round 30. I got to give me some money, and the streets is looking like the only option. I can't get a job right now. Ain't nobody got nothing for me. Like, when I tell you this is the realest ever, this is the realest of the realest of the realest of the realest. So, exhausted all options. The only other person I could speak to right now, get in contact with, is my brother. I call him, yo. He like, what's up? I'm like, man, I think I'm about to come up there with you. He's like, come up here with me. It's like, man, I done told you what type of time I'm on. And I was like, yeah, I get it. I was like, but ain't nothing going on for me down here. He was like, well, I ain't coming down there to get you. So what you gonna have to do is you gonna have to make your way to me. And I'm like, how I do that? And he like, man, you know, this is where I'm at, and you're gonna have to go to 42nd Street, jump on the train, and it's about a 2.5, 3 hour ride to where I am. I'm like, all right. So he told me what stop I had to get off on the train. And he said, as soon as I get off the train, that it's a little cab stand right there. He said, as soon as I get off in the cab stand, call him. He gonna send a cab to pick me up and drop me to the crib. And I got on me at the time, my boy, he done gave me some work because he ain't had no cash enough for me. This is all he had. So in my mind, 1 and 1 equal 2. My brother up there, he got a little flow. He got going on what he got going on. You know what I'm saying? I got what I got. So if I could get up there with him, you know, if he could just introduce me, you know, to a couple of people, or, you know, let me join his Soul Train line, I could get off what I got, and, you know, I could get some bread, and, you know, then I just figured out from there. So that's exactly what happened. He wound up, you know, I wound up getting on the train, going to where he was, called him. He sent a cab for me, got to the crib. When I got to his house, I walked in the house. He had to scale out. He bagging up. His phone is ringing off the hook. People coming through to pick up and keep it moving. You know, he chopping and dicing like, okay, this is for this is for here, this for here, boom, boom, boom. He's shaking and moving. So I'm like, yo, I got this, down the third. He was like, yo, boy, where did you get that from? I'm like, yo, son gave me this. He said, you just came home from doing 15 years and you jumped on a train with some drugs to come up. And I'm like, man, it is what it is. I ain't had no choice, you know? So that's what it was. Now, to answer the question, how to put the streets behind you for good, and is it even possible to put the streets behind you for good? If you listen to what I just said, when I came home from prison from doing all of that time, in my mind, the streets was behind me. I wasn't going back. But situation and circumstances made that choice and decision for me. I ain't had no choice. it was do or die best style. At this point, I had to figure out how to put some coins in my pocket, and me going to my brother's crib that weekend, the little, alley-oop that my boy gave me, you know what I'm saying? Like, I hustled like that entire night. Woke up the next morning. Well, by the time the next morning, because I didn't even go to sleep. Stayed up that entire night hustling. Next morning, woke up. I had like about $600-700. And at the time I was getting money, I wasn't even counting. I was just like, all right, boom, I got this. I'm out of here, out of Dodge. And I had a little female running me around that I didn't even know. She was just somebody introduced to me, said she gonna be my transportation. She was moving me around. I'm getting the phone calls, I'm busting licks, and that's what it was. And I remember that following morning, it was Saturday morning, my boy had hit me that I had just left in prison. I gave him my phone number because my brother, he already got a phone for me, and he gave me the number. So I left that with my boy. I told my boy to hit me. So he hit me that Saturday morning about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. Now, I got released from prison 9 o'clock in the morning the day before on Friday. So when he called my phone, I've been officially out for 24 hours. So when he called me, I was in Walmart. Buying some boxes, socks, t-shirts. I bought me a little sweatsuit. My brother made some money. He said he's gonna take me shopping in a couple of hours. And I was buying some groceries, like some food items. And I was putting them together so that I could send a food package to my boy, because I bought him a couple of sweatsuits from Walmart. I bought him boxes, socks, t-shirts, bought him some chocolate chip cookies, Oreos, some tuna fish, all that little good stuff that's acceptable in the jail. I was putting a food package together for him. And I believe I spent about $150-200. So when he called me on the phone, he was like, yo, bro, what's good with you? Yo, what's what? You know what I'm saying, man? I know you got some pussy. I know you did your numbers. What it's like in the town. And I said, boy, man, I was hustling all night. I said, I'm in Walmart right now. Good thing you called me. Let me know your sizes to make sure I got it right. Let me know what kind of food you got. I'm telling him the, stuff I already got in the shopping cart. He was like, what? I said, yeah, man. I'm in Walmart right now, and I'm putting a little package together for you, and I'm going to drop this thing off. I'm going to put this thing in the mail. As soon as I finish getting it together, I'm going to go to the post office. I'm going to put it in the mail, and I'm sending it to you. You'll have it in a couple of days. He was like, yo, you just got released yesterday. You said you ain't get no girl yet. Like, you ain't party. You ain't really do much of nothing. But you in Walmart putting a food package together for me. He's like, yo, man, that's the realest shit ever. But, that's just the kind of individual I was. And then, like, the following week, I wound up having a female going up to see him and, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But that's how my first 24 hours went, from being released from prison. And again, how to put the streets behind you for good, and is it possible? That's my story. That's my situation. That's my scenario. I wound up putting the streets behind me for good, a little while later. Well, not even a little while later, but years and years later. You figure I came home 2009. I finally put the streets behind me for good. I would say probably in about 2019, 2020. And that's just keeping it 100. So, man, but it's a part 2 to this story. I don't want to drag it out too long. But, man, if you want to hear part 2 to the story, that's going to be coming up. If you want to hear that part of the story, man, like, comment, share, subscribe. You know, just put the number 2 in there. That let me know that you're trying to hear that part 2. And, you know, we going to keep it flowing. And hopefully that answered the question right there. You know, how to put the streets behind you for good. And if it's even possible. Yes, it's possible. But like everything in life, it takes time. And if you got time and you got patience and you're willing to go through whatever it is that you're going to go through so that you could get on your right path, it's possible. But a lot of people, they're not fortunate enough to, you know, kind of go through the obstacles and, you know, actually get on the right track. I mean, some get murdered, some get sent back to prison. You know, some dudes, they put their guns down in the hood and somebody blow their brains out, you know, or you think you out the streets and somebody do or say something crazy, and then now, you know, you gonna get that problem solver, you get them some get right, and now you in jail for a murder charge. So, man, that's just what it is. But like I said, stay tuned for part 2. I'm going to make things a little bit more clear. I'm going to give you a little bit more information so you can understand the journey and how, yes, I eventually put the streets behind me. But it wasn't in the time frame that I was thinking. And I could have went back to prison any day within those, you know, 11 years that I was still running the streets after I came home for doing all that time in prison. But yeah, man, it's your boy Tyrone Hunter, and this is another edition of What's Really Good Entertainment. Like, comment, share, and subscribe. Lock in for that part 2. We about to drop that in a little while. Everybody stay safe out there. Stay blessed. And I'm going to catch you on the next one. That's what's really good.